Welcome to another episode of the Investor Guys podcast. How you doing there, Bill?
Dr. Mills, I am doing incredibly well this morning. As always, good to see you. I love the background, man. That's
Thanks.
you all the way.
I like yours too. What numbers and squiggly lines? That's my brain. Numbers on one side and squiggly lines on the other. Actually, it's mostly squiggly lines, but.
Thank you for making mine, by the way.
Oh, no, not at all. You're welcome. So one thing that I wanted to point out before we get into today's topics is with COVID on the decline, our plates are filling up like fast with just a million things. I host a number of real estate clubs. Bill's probably going to start doing the same thing. Those we're starting with in-person meetings. Did that last night. Scrambling for more deals as the market heats up even more. Got a couple of different projects. In fact, one I was just filling Bill in on one that we might do together. Just our plates are filling up. Hopefully yours are as well. Hopefully you'll make time to stick with us, watch us. If you can't watch us, check out your favorite podcast platform. You can take us with you. Sometimes we actually do graphics and things like that on the show. It's good to watch, but other times we're just blabbing our big fat mouths, but about real estate. So if you happen to be on your way to a meeting, on your way somewhere, most of our shows run around 30 minutes, sometimes a little longer. Take us with you and listen. If you have questions, send us emails. You can contact us at contact@investorguyspodcast.com, contact@investorguyspodcast.com. If you have specific questions for Bill or for myself, like if you want to know, where Bill buys those snappy shirts, for example, Bill at investorguyspodcast.com. If you want to know if I actually understand what any of those squiggly lines mean behind me, I don't, but Kevin at investorguyspodcast.com. Wherever you happen to find us, like us, follow us, and keep in touch with us because we'd like to hear from you. It is hard for us to keep track of everybody that is paying attention to us because we are on Facebook, we are on YouTube, we are on Rumble, we are on our own website at investorguyspodcast.com. You can get every single one of our shows there. We are on multiple different podcast platforms for listeners. So all told, we probably have a lot of people, but like I said, it's hard to tell actually how many people we have. So we love to hear from you personally in our own actual emails that we can read. Love to hear that, probably best of all.
And I had noticed that you've got like 86 or so of the podcasts loaded up onto iTunes.
And we've got more coming every day as I re-edit those.
We are fast approaching that. So in our world, in the podcast world, once you hit 100 podcasts, magical things start to happen. So we've got well over 100, but we're closing in on 100 being loaded.
114. I know that doesn't seem like just 14 shows since we did our 100th episode, but this will be episode 114. And I am working hard on getting those up, re-editing. If you happen to catch any of our old shows versus any of the re-edited versions or the newer versions, you'll definitely be able to see a difference. In fact, if you're watching any videos of our old shows that I haven't redone, you'll see that they look very, very different than the newer ones. Trying to give them a little more pop and a little more sizzle. And make it a great job, by the way, guys, to watch us because we got to hold you with more than just our content and Bill's good looks.
Yeah, we're in trouble there. That's the case. We're in trouble.
I thought you were the linchpin for this operation here.
Hey,
I thought the ladies were tuning in to see your gorgeous mug.
That's it. The ladies need to know that I've been single for over 3 years now. So that's today's topic. Actually, is we are looking for dates for Bill on today's Investor Guys podcast. So if you live in the greater Dallas Metroplex area, you can actually send your emails to me and I will filter through them and make sure that actually my wife will filter through them and make sure that we get some good picks for Bill. So should we go down the list of the things you want, or actually today we're going to talk a list of the things I want in investment real estate?
Okay. Well, you know what? I mean, if you could find a good mate that was strong in investment real estate, you're golden. So,
what's amazing is most of the women that I'm attracted to, and I don't know this on the front end, then when I meet them and we start talking, it's like, holy cow, they're either real estate agents or they're in the mortgage business. It's really crazy.
Go figure. Law of attraction, right?
Yeah, just happens. So anyway.
Law of attraction. So today we are going to talk about something that's going to get Bill all hot and bothered. It's investment real estate related, of course. Gross rent multipliers. This is something that pretty much anybody who's going to have rental properties needs to understand how this works. We're going to give it a little bit of lip service because we're coming up on a break here shortly, and I will go into the specific definition of gross rent multipliers. But the short version here for gross rent multipliers, this is what is going to tell you a number of different things. First of all, how long it's going to take for you to pay off your property based upon the rents that you're receiving, and also how much your property is going to be worth, the value of your property, especially if you're talking about a commercial sized property, not just commercial, but residential as well. Okay. Anything that's residential that's over, say, 4 or 6 units is considered a commercial property as well.
It's 5 and above technically, but you're right.
Yeah. I mean, there are some banks that will do 6, but mostly it's 4 or 5. This is what will tell you what your value of your property is, with not just the dirt and the sticks that make up your property, but the business value of the property that you have, the potential for this property to earn you money. Because when we're talking about commercial properties, we're not just talking about the value of the dirt that it's sitting on or the value of the structure that's sitting on the dirt. We're talking about the value of the potential for that business to earn you money. So our last couple shows, we talked about coin laundries, and we talked about some other things that are a little bit outside of the scope of what most real estate investors are looking at. But again, the value of both of those investments weren't for the dirt and the property so much as it was for what they are bringing in. A car wash. Remind me, I had a great idea that I want to talk to you about car washes. Car washes, cheap to build. Okay. And you're basically just reserving the dirt that it's on until you find something that's got a better, bigger, higher, best use purpose for it. But cheap to build and great cash income. Okay. So gross rent multipliers are going to give you an indication of what that value is going to be. And we'll get that on the next segment. You ready, Bill?
I am, sir.
All right. 11 months out of the year, Bill and I host real estate buyers events in cities like Cleveland, Ohio, where we ourselves invest and see great returns. We show investors the types of strategies we're using, the types of properties we're using. We introduce them to people here on the ground and the resources that they can use to get started right away. Day 4 of this event, we're actually touring properties and making offers on properties. This event was designed to put properties in your portfolio right away, high-performing properties. Read more about the Real Estate Buyers event. Get registered. We'll see you at the next event. realestatebuyersevent.com. A lot of real estate training programs claim that they will make you a millionaire, but how many of them will guarantee it? The Millionaire Blueprint comes with a millionaire guarantee. I guarantee that if you use the strategies and you use the formulas that you learn in the Millionaire Blueprint, you will be a millionaire. I guarantee that with a double your money back guarantee. Whether you have hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest or absolutely nothing, it doesn't matter. I'm going to show you how to start investing and be a millionaire guaranteed. Now, I can't tell you all about it in this short amount of time, so go to the guaranteedmillionaireblueprint.com. That's the guaranteedmillionaireblueprint.com. Watch the videos there. Read about the guarantee. Read more about what we offer with the Millionaire Blueprint. Get signed up. I'll see you in Palm Beach. And we are back. And today we are talking about gross rent multipliers. So real quick, I'm going to read the description. Literally, this is the official description of gross rent multipliers. Pardon me while I put my glasses on and If you can see my camera and lights and everything in the reflection of my glasses, I apologize. Gross rent multiplier is the ratio of price of the real estate investment to its annual rental income before accounting for expenses such as property tax, insurance, and utilities. GRM, which is gross rent multiplier, is the number of years the property would take to pay for itself in gross received rent. For a prospective real estate investor, a lower GRM represents a better opportunity. The GRM is useful for comparing and selecting investment properties where depreciation affects periodic costs such as property taxes and insurance. The cost to the investor incurred by the potential renters, such as utilities and repairs, can be expected to be a uniform across the properties, either as uniform values or uniform fractions of the gross rental income, or insignificant in comparison to gross rental income, as those costs are often more difficult to predict than market rental retail return. Sorry, that's a lot of R's there. The GRM serves as an alternative to measure the net investment return where such a measure would be difficult to determine. So as we said before we got into this segment, this is a tool that you're going to use to give you an idea of the values across the board. Now, whether it's a good investment, and in the future, how much you're going to be able to pull out of this thing. This is not the only valuation tool that Bill and I would use when we're purchasing a property, but this is one where you would absolutely want to start. Bill, really quick on, before I jump into Bill, for those of you looking for the mathematic formula for this, okay, and I'm a math guy. I hate math, believe it or not. I love math and I hate math. It's a weird thing. The purchase price divided by the annual gross rent multiplier, the annual gross rents before your taxes, before your insurance, before anything else, equals your gross rent multiplier. That's the mathematical formula for you. Makes it really easy. Bill, I see you wanting to say something.
Nope. No, the gross rent multiplier, what you're going to do is when you start understanding the numbers, we'll do some things that are very specific and maybe a little in the weeds for you if you're new to it. But also there's ways to look at it very simply. And, a lot of times I'll take a single unit and I'll cash flow that unit for the year and look at how that works. So if I've got a 60-40 mix between twos and ones, I'll take a one bedroom, what is it renting for? And I'll run that through the course of the year. And so I get down to, here's the positive cash flow. Here's my gross rent, which will be involved with gross rent multiplier. Then here's my, after I take out the proportion of expenses that this unit needs to cover, here's what my net for either for the month or the year is on this one unit. And then I'll look at, okay, so if I got a 20 unit building that's split 50-50, so I got 10 one bedrooms and 10 two bedrooms, then I'll do the same thing on a two bedroom. And then we'll see what the total is. And this is where we did this yesterday. You'll be interested to hear this, Kev. Yesterday, we looked at a property in Buffalo, and we were going through the numbers, one of my clients and I, and we were going through the numbers, and he's brand new into the consulting program. And he's like, coming in, he was like, I'm not doubting you, Bill. I'm really interested in seeing you and Kevin talk about 40, 50+%. I'm really interested to see this in real time. And so yesterday we were going through a property in Buffalo that was on the market at 50. It was on the market at 35. We figured on a wild ass guess, probably about 20 in rehab to make it rentable. Then we went to the HUD site, we pulled up, here's what the numbers are on it. And that's about the time we're closed. If we buy it at 35, we put 20 in it. By the time we close, we're going to be at 60. So let's just figure 60 is the mortgage. And so we're going to need a $12,000 down payment. It was a 75% cash on cash return first year. And he was like, that's bizarre. I would have never believed that. So when you just look at the numbers, that's what gross rent multiplier is all about, is giving you that point to be able to start looking at, when I'm looking at multifamily from a apartment building complex, from that standpoint, this becomes a crucial number.
Yeah. So when seasoned investors look at a property, whether it's online or whether it's driving down the street or anything else, in their head, if they're familiar with that market, they already know based upon the size of the building, especially if they're looking at it on the computer, how many units are in that building, what size the units are, where that building is. They have a good idea of whether or not that's not only a good deal, but how much that's going to bring in year over year. They have a good idea, or even at least month over month. The added benefits to having these different formulas is he's driving down the street. He sees this as a great deal. He wants to confirm that. So what he does is he gets the information and he runs what he knows to be market rents for that property. Okay. Based upon the units that he has. And then he finds out what his gross rent multiplier is based upon the purchase price of that building. Okay. Is that a percentage that he's interested in? Then he's going to also have to factor in a couple of other things to make sure that he's, truly looking at a good deal. He wants to know the condition of the building. Typically an inspection and appraisal of that will reveal what the actual value for just the structure is. He's going to want to know what other criteria may affect that particular building. So if you're in a market like, say, I remember I was buying up properties like crazy in San Antonio when they were building the Toyota and the Nissan plants, because just by virtue of them building those two new plants, I was going to have more demand for rent. That meant more people were going to be coming in and more people were going to be having money. So is he in a market where he's got businesses that are coming in that are going to stimulate his rent? Or is it going to be a flat line? And flat line is not a bad thing because flat line is more predictable. Or is he in a market like, say, Syracuse? I remember in Syracuse when Carrier left Syracuse and put all their manufacturing facilities in China. I was in Syracuse. I was an investor invested in Syracuse. I remember when that happened. I wasn't too concerned because my investments in Syracuse were Section 8. It actually helped my Section 8 market out. But if I'm looking at a retail type of market, if I'm looking at, and again, this is not just residential, this is also commercial properties. This would apply to a strip mall. This would apply to retail. This would apply to office space. Okay. If I'm looking at an office building by the Carousel Mall, for example, in Syracuse, and this is just before Carrier is getting ready to literally wrap up everything and move out of Syracuse. Now, for those of you who don't know, Syracuse pretty much has two major sources of income. One is the university and one was Carrier. Now, Carrier's corporate offices are still there, but they moved all their manufacturing facilities someplace else. Lots of people lost their jobs. Lots of people left. Those are factors that we want to consider as well. If all those factors align, and again, we start with the gross rent multiplier and just the knowledge that we have. If we don't know the market, the gross rent multiplier is a great place to start. If all of those stars align and they tell us that this is a good deal and we've done our numbers, then this is a good deal. The more tools you have to point you in the right direction that are confirming or not affirming what you need to know on that property, the better prepared you are and the more comfortable you're going to be making an offer and purchasing that particular property. Now we're up on a break, but we've got more to talk about because Bill and I just love to blabber. So we'll be back in just a minute as soon as I grab the right button there. Once a month, with the exception of December, Bill and I go to markets where we have experience and we host a real estate buyers event. These are markets that have great return potential for your real estate portfolio. We're going to show you the properties that we buy. We're going to show you where to buy, where not to buy, the strategies to use to make great income from these properties. We're also going to show you resources and individuals here on the ground that you can use to start building your team so that you can repeat this process over and over. The real estate buyers events are designed to put high-performing properties in your portfolio right away. If you're interested in hearing more about the Real Estate Buyers Event, realestatebuyersevent.com. That's realestatebuyersevent.com. Read more about the events, check out the schedule, and register. We'll see you there. My name's Kevin Mills. I have a real estate training program that is so powerful, I will back it up with a double your money back guarantee that it will make you a millionaire. That's right.
double your money back guarantee that you will be a millionaire if you use what you learn in the Millionaire Blueprint. I call it the Guaranteed Millionaire Blueprint, and you can read more about it and watch more videos at guaranteedmillionaireblueprint.com. That's guaranteedmillionaireblueprint.com. Check it out. All the information is there.
And we are back with our final segment on gross rent multipliers. This segment, let's talk about the best thing about a gross rent multiplier. So not only is a gross rent multiplier going to tell you how much, how long it's going to take for you to pay for your property. And remember, we're looking at two different things. Okay. First of all, we're looking at gross rent multiplier as it applies to the down payment. Bill and I both love leverage. Okay. So if you're putting, let's say 20% down, but that doesn't always ring true with a commercial property. But let's say you're putting 20% down, just so we use like a rule of thumb. We can run our gross rent multiplier on our 20% down to let us know how long it's going to take us to recap that 20%. Okay. We can also run that on the purchase price of the property, the entire purchase price of the property, so that we know when we're going to get the value of that property back. Now, keep in mind, if we're purchasing this from the bank, our G.R.M is going to be different than when we're able to pay off that note. So we should also run it on our total note payments. How long is it going to take to get the total value out of our total note, whether that's 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and you can find all that information by running an amortization calculator. An amortization calculator will literally tell you what your value is in 10 years, what your value is in 20 years, and what your value is in 30 years, which should be paid off. You can also run different formulas on your amortization calculator. You can say, okay, well, what is it going to be? What are my payments going to be if I finance this building for 15 years? What are my payments going to be if I finance this building for 10 years? You can use your G.R.M to calculate all of those different things. Figure out whether it's going to make more sense for you to pay that property off earlier if your G.R.M is supporting it. Now, Bill just used an example of a property in Buffalo. If the gentleman is buying it for, he's got $60,000 invested in it. That's not what he's buying it for. He's buying it for $35,000, but he's got a total of 65 invested in it. He's making a 75% annual return. He has essentially paid that property off in less than a year and a half. Is it to his value to go ahead and pay that property off and continue to get those rents? What is his return going to be on a note where he has zero? You know, is it going to be better for him to take some of that money and not pay it off and use it to buy other similar properties in the Buffalo market? Now, these are all tools that we can use interactively with different types of things. And again, it starts with things like a G.R.M. So if we understand that, and we understand this particular property, like what Bill's client is talking about, okay, he has an indication of what he wants to do in, say, a year, year and a half, 2 years. Does he want to pay this property off, or does he want to use some of that income to purchase a similar property where he's getting that type of return again? And that's the decision he's going to have to make based upon the numbers that work for him. The thing I love most about a gross rent multiplier is it tells me what the value of the property is going to be business-wise in the future. Remember, we can take our rents and multiply them times 10 and know what the value of our property is as far as a business investment. And our gross rent multiplier is going to give us the basic formula for that. Now, for that particular formula for our value, it's called a 10 times factor. Okay. For our 10 times factor, we actually want to calculate the cost of our utilities if we're paying the utilities, cost of our taxes, cost of our insurance, cost of our maintenance, cost of our management, and subtract that from our gross rents. Okay. Then once we know our gross rents, we can do a 10 times multiplier. We've talked about this on the show before, Bill, and this is one thing that you love just the same as I do. If we increase rents by $100, okay, if we've increased it $100 a month, great. Even if we've increased it $100 over the course of 2 years, okay, I said a month, I meant $100 a year, but per month. So we have 10 units. We've increased the rents by $100. We now have an extra $1,200 a month, and we actually have an extra almost $15,000 every single year. Now we can multiply that by 10 Okay. And that tells us that we have an extra $150,000 worth of value in our property as a business, just by doing something simple like increasing the rent by $100. It could be $50. It could be $150. Real estate is a great math game, and understanding the formulas that you need, understanding the numbers, understanding how it works, and understanding how it will literally light a path to where you need to go and what you need to do is gives me the warm and fuzzies.
That's that whole when you're doing single family flips, and we nudge you along. We love single family flips, but we're always going to be nudging you toward bigger returns, bigger investment, bigger percentages, because that's the natural progression of the business. Do we say, oh, stop doing that? No, because you may, always get big checks. And if you apply those appropriately, it helps to grow your business exponentially. But we don't get the kind on the single family side. We don't get the kind of returns that we can on the multifamily side when you're talking about jumps in value like the 10X formula. And, that's not something that we came up with. That's for those of you that know, that's not a Grant Cardone thing either. The 10X formula has been around as long as apartment buildings have been around.
Yeah, longer than Grant Cardone.
Yeah, much longer. And I love Grant, but much longer than that. So, but this whole thing about being able to up the value of your property, and this is real value. This is not pie in the sky stuff. When the numbers are there, this is what I did a Facebook survey yesterday where I jumped on and just said, hey, and I did it in reverse. I did it from a standpoint of what would you be willing to pay for $120,000 a year income stream asset backed. And I got a whole bunch of bizarre answers, but about 5 people were spot on. You could tell they were savvy investors because they came back and they were like, oh, for 120 a year, I'd pay 1.2 mil, because that's the norm you look at. I had a couple that were like, oh, well, you'd have to pay more than that because you can't get 10%. And I watched the discussion. It was pretty funny. You could tell who the savvies were, who they weren't, who the experienced were, who wasn't. But that's how you look at this thing when you're in the commercial side of apartment buildings, is whatever I can have as a net operating income, my property is tenfold that, which is very reminiscent of the investment banking world when you're doing multipliers on what a business is worth. When you look at an apartment building, it's a business. It is a business unto itself. And so that's a very common multiplier, and it's a great way to be able to see, okay, do I need to go in and increase the laundry facility here? And if I do, if I spend $5,000 to increase the space, and then I've got a partner, meaning a company that provides the machines, they're going to come in and they're going to put in 4 more machines. Here's how much income based on current usage that projects out to. And then when you start extrapolating that and you get into a yearly number like Kevin just showed you, and by putting in 4 more washing machines in the laundry bay, I can turn around and over the course of the year, I can make an extra $14,000. Well, that doesn't sound like, it's like, oh, okay, but no, you're thinking about it wrong if that's all you're looking at, because immediately what Kevin and I would do is go, holy cow, that's $140,000 worth of increased payment.
From washing machines.
That's going on our pocket down the road when we're moving this property out. And so that decision becomes incredibly easy to make. Hey, you know what? Bam. Yes. Let's get that done and get it done now.
Yes, absolutely. And as always, we're over on our time, but you can tell by the enthusiasm from my buddy Bill here how important these things are in real estate, and understanding them again, it will help you feel much more comfortable. We see so many different reasons why people don't get started. A lot of times it's because they They just don't have the confidence. Okay. And if it's because of confidence, things like this, understanding, seeing the writing on the wall in math that is irrefutable and having that aha moment, such as Bill's client did, that is going to change things for him, because now he will go out and he will look for every single property he can that fits that criteria, because he wants 75%. He would have been happy with 50%. And I tell people 50%, that's our low end.
Yeah.
Honestly, Bill's client, and I don't want to say this and screw Bill up, but Bill's client could find 80 or 100% returns on investments.
He's still in shock, by the way.
Yeah. What's that?
He's still in shock.
He's over 75%, which is great. It's a great return on your investment. But what I'm saying is once you understand the formulas, once you understand the math, once you understand how the reality of what real estate can do for you, for your bank account, for your life, for your family, then it's easy to make those decisions. If you don't have the money, you'll figure out a way to do it. If you don't have the education to figure out how to do that, you're going to find the education to figure out how to do that, because you're going to realize that it's worth it. It is going to pay off. Final thoughts before we get out of here, Bill?
No, but you want to be around. Yes, you want to be around for our next show, because we're going to make a surprise announcement that you want to hear. So make sure that you are joining us on Thursday.
Yes. And that surprising announcement has nothing to do with Bill's dating life, which we talked about at the beginning of the show.
Well, at least not that I'm aware of it anyway.
It's not that I'm aware of it, but who knows in 2 days.
That's right.
It happened. So
a whole different game.
Actually more than 2 days. This is Thursday's show. So we are days away. Happy investing, and we will see you all soon.
Bye.